And I've often felt it. I've sat there and I have felt the knife slipped firmly in between my shoulder blades and tried to have it shoved through the other side through my heart.
Now, the first step in eradicating this crime is awareness. Go see Sound of Freedom.
Mel Gibson's walk into the courtroom wasn't just the arrival of a Hollywood icon, it was the entrance of a man carrying revelations capable of shaking the very foundation of the entertainment industry. Cameras flashed, reporters jostled for position, and the hushed murmurs of spectators turned into an almost electric silence. This wasn't a scene from one of his blockbuster films. This was real, and Gibson wasn't there to play a part. He was there to expose a truth so dark, so deeply buried, that even the most cynical observers were left reeling.
And I was looking at a building with the top of the sixes on it, so there was a huge illuminated 666 in red.
Yeah.
And I went from that to that to that, and he started smiling. And I thought, oh no, Chris Walken is the Antichrist.
Yeah.
For years, whispers of Sean Diddy, Combs' alleged criminal empire, had swirled in Hollywood backrooms, tabloids, and online forums. Lawsuits, rumors, and cryptic accusations painted a portrait of a man who operated not just as a mogul, but as a master manipulator of power. Gibson's testimony, however, was the first time these allegations had been laid bare in such a public and damning manner. What began as a high-profile trial of one man's alleged crimes quickly spiraled into a potential unraveling of an entire system of abuse and exploitation in the entertainment industry, a system that, according to Gibson, had insulated and protected Diddy for decades.
When I came over here, I was in my mid-20s.
Right.
The first time I really came over here. You know, I had a whole bunch of weird paranoid suspicions about what the hell was going on because there was a lot of stuff I couldn't understand.
Right.
And nobody was really bothering to explain it to me.
Gibson's testimony began with a chilling breakdown of the so-called freak-offs, grotesque gatherings that were allegedly central to Diddy's world. These weren't just wild parties, they were orchestrated events where young women, often lured in with these promises of fame, money, or opportunity, were forced into unspeakable situations. Details from victims' lawsuits corroborated Gibson's account. Women testifying under pseudonyms described being coerced into marathon encounters with strangers, overseen and allegedly directed by Diddy himself. One victim, known only as Jane, revealed that she was supplied with substances and pressured into participating in these degrading rituals for years. Another described the events as multi-day nightmares, during which she was controlled through threats, financial dependence, and even recordings of the acts, which Diddy allegedly used as leverage to ensure silence.
Referred to me as Wild King Nights. And what a Wild King Night was when him and a guest would go to a hotel room or be at his home, his bedroom, and they would have intimate gatherings. I would have to go and prep that hotel room, which consisted of baby oil, Astroglide.
These recordings, described in court filings and by Gibson, were part of a broader system of control. Diddy allegedly kept archives of his victims' most humiliating moments, not just as trophies, but as tools to ensure their compliance. According to Gibson, these tapes weren't just about silencing women, they were about power over his victims, his peers, and even other Hollywood elites. The suggestion that such tactics extended beyond his personal life was chilling. Was this how Diddy maintained his untouchable status for so long? And if so, how many others in positions of influence were complicit in this system? The courtroom was left stunned as Gibson detailed the elaborate network of enablers that allegedly supported Diddy's empire. From assistants and security staff to high-ranking executives, Gibson painted a picture of an operation so vast and well-orchestrated that it seemed almost impossible to dismantle. Many of these enablers, according to lawsuits and testimonies, played active roles in facilitating the abuse. They booked hotel rooms, transported victims, and procured the substances allegedly used to manipulate and control them. Gibson described it as an industry within an industry, a parallel Hollywood built on exploitation where silence was bought and complicity was rewarded.
I thought he was this clean businessman who rose to the top because he was such a powerful and smart, educated man. I had no idea that he had this other side to him. And when I started to get exposed to his lifestyle, I started to really realize, like, this guy has an addiction. It's not just, once every few weeks, it's every day, every hour.
But the allegations didn't stop there. Gibson's testimony implicated not just Diddy, but an entire network of Hollywood elites, who allegedly participated in or turned a blind eye to these events. These weren't isolated incidents, Gibson claimed. They were part of a larger culture, one that thrived in the shadows and relied on the silence of those who knew too much. The trial had already revealed connections to other high-profile figures, with lawsuits and victim accounts suggesting that Diddy wasn't just a participant, but a key player in an ongoing web of abuse and corruption. The implications were staggering. If even a fraction of Gibson's claims were true, the fallout could reach the highest echelons of power in Hollywood and beyond.
You could, that some of your worst nightmares were real at the time, and you think, Now this is what I mean by actually starting to swim up or downstream with the rest of the salmon, you know, eventually, if you stay here long enough.
Yeah.
You'll find yourself doing that. And you have to, there's a way of doing it without doing it.
And then there were the freak-offs themselves, gatherings that, according to multiple victims, were as meticulously planned as any red carpet event. Lawsuits described how women were allegedly flown in from out of state, their travel coordinated by Diddy's staff, hotel suites were stocked with substances and other supplies, and the events would often last for days. Victims testified that Diddy would direct these encounters like a producer on a film set, issuing instructions and ensuring that everything was recorded. One woman recounted how she felt like a pawn in a game she didn't understand, her every move controlled and documented. Another described the psychological toll of knowing that her most vulnerable moments had been captured on tape, used not for pleasure but for power.
I want to start with alleged victim number 4, who goes by the name Mia. It's an alias. She is one of the people who is testifying where the judge has granted her anonymity. She is on the stand, but everybody in the courtroom has been warned. Do not reveal her identity. Do not even give a physical description of her.
The chilling reality, as Gibson laid it out, was that these tapes weren't just personal trophies. They were insurance. They were weapons. And they were part of a much larger system of control that extended far beyond the walls of any hotel suite. Victims described being threatened with the release of these recordings if they ever dared to speak out. Some were allegedly blackmailed into continuing relationships with Diddy, while others were silenced through financial settlements or intimidation. The system was airtight, and for years it had worked. Until now. What made Gibson's testimony so explosive wasn't just the details, it was the connections he drew between Diddy's alleged crimes and the broader culture of Hollywood. This wasn't just about one man's abuses, Gibson claimed. It was about a system that enabled and protected him. And that system, according to Gibson, ran far deeper than anyone had imagined. He described secret gatherings of Hollywood's elite, where power and influence were traded like currency and where the lines between indulgence and exploitation were deliberately blurred. Diddy, he suggested, wasn't just a participant in these events. He was a central figure, someone who used his wealth and connections to maintain his dominance and ensure his silence.
So she testified, excuse me, that she was Diddy's ex-assistant. She said he her, sexually assaulted her in various ways multiple times. He exacted unbelievable violence against her, threatened her, one point allegedly threatened to take her phone and use anything on the phone.
As Gibson's words hung in the air, the courtroom felt like it was holding its breath. This wasn't just a trial anymore. It was a reckoning. And what came next would leave everyone in the room questioning everything they thought they knew about Hollywood, its power players, and the true cost of fame. And then, just when it seemed like the revelations couldn't get any darker, Gibson's next words shattered what little composure was left in the room. As the courtroom sat frozen in stunned silence, the implications of Mel Gibson's revelations began to sink in. If the alleged recordings from Diddy's infamous freak-offs truly exist, they could hold the power to do more than just convict one man. What if these tapes contained evidence implicating other A-list celebrities, politicians, or even members of global royalty? For years, Hollywood has been plagued by whispers of secret societies operating behind the glittering facade. But Gibson's testimony suggests these whispers may be more than just urban legend. These recordings, if real, could be the key to unlocking decades of hidden corruption and exploitation.
They've been afraid of coming forward. They've been afraid of what he could potentially do to them within the industry, what he could do to them professionally, maybe even personally. And so yes, it's been a dark secret they've held on to for a very, very long time.
Victim testimonies repeatedly reference the existence of these tapes. Women who attended these gatherings claim they were not only coerced but recorded without consent, with Diddy allegedly keeping the footage as leverage. Could these recordings serve as a blackmail arsenal, ensuring the silence of not just the victims, but also the powerful figures who frequented these events? And if these tapes were to surface, how far would the fallout reach? Some speculate that this trial could expose a sprawling underground network of influence, one that stretches beyond Hollywood into the upper echelons of politics and global power. Imagine the chaos if footage emerged implicating individuals we've been taught to revere. What if the people we've trusted to lead or entertain us were complicit in this nightmare? Then came the raid on Diddy's Beverly Hills mansion, a sprawling multi-million-dollar estate that has hosted some of the most exclusive parties in Hollywood. But according to investigators, this wasn't just a party house, it was something far darker. Sources close to the investigation claim that law enforcement uncovered hidden rooms during the raid, concealed chambers allegedly stocked with bizarre items. Among the discoveries were stacks of cash, substances, industrial quantities of baby oil, and objects described as ritualistic. These findings paint a chilling picture of what might have gone on behind closed doors. Was this mansion simply a hedonistic playground for the rich and famous, or was it a hub for something far more sinister?
He cornered me. And then he asked me, with his arm up, he asked me, "How you doing?" I'm kind of like, wow, this is what the heck? Very uncomfortable. And then he rubbed his hand down my breast. He said, "If you need anything at all, you let me know."
The mansion raid also revealed something even more disturbing: detailed written logs and spreadsheets that investigators suspect could be a record of the guests who attended these gatherings. These documents, allegedly seized from a safe hidden behind a false wall, are said to contain names, dates, and cryptic notes about what occurred during specific freak-offs. While none of these names have been officially released, whispers have already begun to spread about who might be on the list. Some speculate that the attendees include not only Hollywood actors, but also powerful executives, international business leaders, and even high-profile politicians. If these events are authenticated, they could serve as a roadmap to dismantle an entire underworld of exploitation and secrecy. What's more, authorities reportedly found evidence of extensive security measures throughout the state, including hidden cameras embedded in nearly every room. These cameras, investigators believe, were positioned to capture footage from angles that suggest this surveillance was deliberate and far-reaching. There are rumors that some of this footage had already been digitized and stored on external drives, and authorities are now working to recover what could be hundreds of hours of video. If these tapes match the allegations, they could implicate not just Diddy, but a much larger network of individuals who attended or facilitated these events.
So we just got this new audio from the Diddy trial, and it is pretty explosive. This is audio of a voicemail that Diddy left to the Jane Doe who's been testifying in this trial for the last couple days. And he sounds really annoyed. It's talking about her maybe giving him the silent treatment, and his response is, "I got a busy life. I can't be dealing with your silent treatment, and we got to keep it."
Another chilling discovery from the raid was a series of handwritten journals. These journals, allegedly penned by Diddy himself, are said to contain reflections and notes on his personal life, relationships, and, disturbingly, the planning of these events. According to leaks from individuals familiar with the investigation, some entries describe the psychological tactics used to manipulate participants, as well as cryptic references to loyalty tests and consequence for those who disobeyed. While the exact content of these journals has not been made public, sources suggest they paint a picture of a man obsessed with control and power, willing to go to great lengths to protect his secrets. Investigators are also looking into the financial side of Diddy's alleged operation. Bank records and wire transfers uncovered during the raid reportedly show unusual payments to individuals believed to have played key roles in organizing and maintaining these events. Payments to shell companies, unexplained cash withdrawals, and sudden spikes in spending have all raised red flags. These financial breadcrumbs could reveal how such an elaborate system was funded and who else may have benefited from it. Could these transactions lead investigators to others who profited from this alleged exploitation? And if so, how far will this financial web stretch? There's even speculation that some of the mansion's hidden rooms may have been used for more than just these gatherings. Architectural experts brought in by law enforcement have reportedly noted the unusual design of certain spaces, suggesting they were purpose-built for secrecy. One room, described as soundproofed and windowless, has raised questions about whether it was used for coercion, intimidation, or worse. But the layout of the estate, combined with the items recovered, seems to support the theory that this wasn't just a home, but a carefully constructed hub for an underground operation. As these details continue to emerge, the public is left grappling with the sheer scale of what this could mean. If Diddy's mansion was indeed a nexus for such activities, how many others in his circle knew about it? How many participated, and how many turned a blind eye? The mansion, once a symbol of wealth and status, now looms large as a potential monument to Hollywood's hidden darkness. And with each new revelation, the question of accountability becomes harder to ignore.
Continue to engage in all these freak-offs with him, and he sounds really pissed off.
Hey, I really don't know what's going on with you, but I just want to give you a heads up that I'm about to really disappear on you. You feel me? I'm not going to be playing these games with you at all, at all. So I don't know, you think you silent treating me, and you think I'm going to be, nah. You'll have a rude awakening.
The victims' accounts align with these discoveries. According to court documents, women who attended the freak-offs described being led into dimly lit rooms where the atmosphere was both opulent and oppressive. Some reported being blindfolded and given substances to relax them, only to realize later that they had been coerced into participating in acts they couldn't even fully remember. Others described the eerie feeling of being watched, unaware that cameras were allegedly recording their every move. Could these hidden chambers have been designed specifically for these recordings? And what does it say about the culture of Hollywood that such a place could exist unnoticed for so long? Speculation is now swirling about the broader implications of Gibson's testimony. He didn't just accuse Diddy of orchestrating these events, he suggested that they were part of a larger system of control. According to Gibson, Hollywood's elite have long operated within a closed circle, one where secrets are currency and silence is enforced through a combination of fear and loyalty. The connections between Diddy and other powerful figures are too numerous to ignore, from his high-profile friendships with politicians and business tycoons to his rumored connections with international elites. The question isn't just how much Diddy knew, but how many others were involved. Was he a kingpin in this alleged operation, or merely a cog in a much larger machine? And then there's the chilling possibility of what hasn't been revealed yet. Gibson's testimony, as damning as it was, might only scratch the surface of this sprawling scandal. If more witnesses come forward, if more evidence is uncovered, we could be on the brink of one of the largest exposés in Hollywood history. But with that comes an equally terrifying question. What happens to those brave enough to speak out? Gibson's decision to testify has already made waves, but it's also made him a target. Throughout history, whistleblowers who challenge systems of power often face retaliation. Could Gibson's revelations put him in danger? And if so, who else might be silenced before they have the chance to speak? The courtroom itself has become a battleground not just for Diddy's defense, but for the very soul of an industry that has long thrived on secrecy. Witness after witness has come forward describing experiences that range from horrifying to surreal. One victim testified about being flown to private islands, where the rules seemed to vanish entirely, while another claimed that Diddy's inner circle included individuals tasked specifically with covering up his alleged crimes. These aren't isolated incidents. They point to a pattern of behavior and a network of enablers that allowed it to continue unchecked for years. And now with the trial pulling back the curtain on this hidden world, we're left to wonder, how deep does the rot go?
I'm sorry, I'm just I'm in this moment right now. This is crazy. Sorry. People don't really know how much what it does to you when something that you love is taken from you and thrown away like it don't even matter, and then they move on with their lives and you're stuck. You're stuck during those years. You're still stuck 21 years later.
As the trial progresses, the stakes couldn't be higher. If the allegations are proven true, this case could mark the beginning of a domino effect. What other secrets might be exposed? What other names might surface? Hollywood has always been a place of reinvention, but this trial threatens to unravel its carefully constructed image. Could this be the moment when the industry is forced to confront its darkest truths? Or will the system, as it has so many times before, find a way to protect itself? And now we turn to you. With everything we've uncovered so far, do you think this is just the beginning? Could Diddy's trial be the spark that finally brings Hollywood's darkest secrets to light? Or are we about to see another powerful man escape justice? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We're just getting started, so buckle up. The truth is coming, and it's bigger than any of us could have imagined. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and keep your eyes open.